Chapter 8, Lesson 1. Main Ideas. Geography. Japan's development was influenced by its landforms, its climate, and its closeness to China and Korea. Government. Prince Shotoku wrote Japan's first constitution and also brought Chinese culture to Japan. Culture. The Japanese developed distinctive family and social structures. Land of the Rising Sun. Build on what you know. How would you be affected by a bigger and stronger neighbor? Japan, the much smaller island neighbor of China, would feel Chinese influence for centuries. The effect of geography on Japan. Essential question. How was Japan's development influenced by its landforms, its climate, and its closeness to China and Korea? According to legend, Japan was formed from drops of water. The drops fell from a jeweled spear that a god had dipped into the ocean. Each drop formed one of the 4 large and more than 4,000 small mountainous islands that make up Japan. Landforms and Climate. Japan is located 120 miles off the coast of Asia. In some ways, it is a difficult place in which to live. Only 15% of the land is flat enough for farming. Volcanoes, earthquakes, tidal waves, and hurricanes are a constant danger. Also, the islands have few natural fuels such as coal and oil. But Japan has advantages too. It has a mild climate with plenty of rain, so rice grows well there. Because Japan is an island, the ocean provides abundant fish for food. It also provides protection from invasion. This is a form of defense that mainland civilizations of East Asia, like China and Korea, did not have. The ancestors of most Japanese came from East Asia in the 300s BC. Because of Japan's separation from the mainland, fewer immigrants moved there than to other places. Nature inspires Japanese culture. Japan's many mountains and frequent rainfall have resulted in lush green lands. Japanese culture often expresses a love of this natural beauty. One form of expression is the traditional religion known as Shinto. Shinto means way of the gods. It is based on respect for nature and ancestors. According to Shinto, rocks, trees, rivers, and other natural objects are often home to divine spirits. One of Japan's most honored objects is Mount Fuji, its tallest mountain, shown on the previous page. Japan's influential neighbors, China and Korea. Japan's closest neighbors are China and Korea. Both countries influenced Japan, but the powerful Chinese civilization had the strongest impact. China, in fact, gave Japan its name. The Chinese referred to the lands to the east as the land of the rising sun, in which Nippon in Japanese. Nippon is what the Japanese call their country. Chinese influences on Japan. Religion. Combined Buddhism with traditional Shinto rituals. Government. Adopted principles of Confucianism for Japanese government. Writing system. Use Chinese characters to stand for additional ideas and sounds in language. Arts. Employ Chinese techniques and themes, especially in landscape painting. Agriculture. Adapted Chinese wet field rice cultivation to Japan's island environment. Early Japanese society. Essential question. What was the structure of early Japanese society? Early Japan was divided into clans. These were families of people who were related by blood or marriage. Clans often fought one another for land. Land was the main source of wealth and power because so little of it was available for cultivation. Structure of Japanese society. Japanese society remained organized around large and powerful clans for centuries. Each clan was led by a few powerful nobles. They were the only people in Japan known by both a family name and an individual name. Most Japanese were common workers. They usually lived in villages and farmed or fished. Some had special skills, such as making pottery or weaving cloth. Some people in Japan were enslaved. Slaves were usually forced to cook, clean, or take care of the house of a noble. The Shinto religion was a strong unifying force in Japanese society. For example, Noble families and their workers and slaves all honored the same divine spirits and ancestors. Japan's emperors. In the 400s, the Yamato clan of central Japan established itself as the most powerful clan. Japan's first emperors came from the Yamato families. According to tradition, members of the Yamato clan were descendants from the sun goddess. Emperors are considered to be human, but because of this tradition, the Japanese also treat them as divine, which means godlike. The emperor claimed to rule, but military leaders usually held the real power. Rivals within the Yamato clan fought one another to gain this power. Since Japan rarely changed emperors, the country appeared very stable. If a child succeeded to the throne, a regent was appointed. This official would rule until the child was old enough. One of Japan's most important regents was Prince Shotoku. The reign of Prince Shotoku. Essential question. What role did Prince Shotoku play in Japanese history? Prince Shotoku was asked by his aunt, Empress Suiko, the first woman to be ruler, to act as her regent. Shotoku held power from 593 to 622. Shotoku introduces Chinese culture. Prince Shotoku was impressed by Chinese culture. He encouraged the Japanese to learn from their powerful neighbor. Shotoku sent Japanese scholars and artists to China to study Chinese society. He also welcomed skilled workers from China to Japan. Shotoku opened a Japanese embassy in China. An embassy is an office of a government in another country. He created guidelines for Japanese leaders that were based on Confucian principles, such as hard work and obedience to authority. These guidelines are known as the 17-Article Constitution. Shotoku promotes Buddhism. An aspect of Chinese culture that impressed Shotoku was Buddhism. With his support, it began to spread quickly in Japan. At first, Buddhism challenged Shinto, the traditional Japanese belief system. But Buddhism was based on the teachings of the Buddha, who was born in India, not Japan. So, Shotoku's support of Buddhism met opposition. Eventually, most Japanese blended the religions. They accepted Buddhism, but shaped it according to traditional Japanese customs. They also continued to practice Shinto. As people adopted Buddhism, they became more aware of other aspects of Chinese culture. Lesson summary. Japan's island location and its proximity to China and Korea affected its development. Japanese emperors reigned but had little power. Prince Shotoku introduced Chinese culture to Japan. Why it matters now. Japanese society continues to adapt influences from other cultures. This type of creative borrowing is a common theme in history.